Welcome to the Chamber Spotlight, a local talk show podcast brought to you by the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce in association with the local scene. We'll be recording on a regular basis and we'll cover many topics that span local businesses, local elections, local town governance, and a citizens academy. I'm your host, Fraser Townley, and today we're sitting down with Katrina Delaney, and she's going to talk all things SEPAC with us. Hi, Katrina.
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good. So before we get into the conversation, we're going to cut to the town where I recorded the town news with Andrea Cesarini. I hope I've got her name right. I do believe I have. Okay, so we'll go there and then we'll have a chat afterwards.
Sounds good.
Today is Monday the 29th of September, and I'm very happy to be here at Town Hall with Andrea Cesarini.
Thank you, Fraser. I have some town updates. So over the weekend, we had our Public Safety Day on Sunday, and that was an awesome effort between the police, fire, some regional services. They did a wonderful job. And this Monday, we have the groundbreaking ceremonies for the Public Safety Building and the substation that's going to be on Monroe Street. So that's very exciting. We're very excited for our emergency personnel. Some other updates. So road construction. So the water department has contracted with K&K Excavation to complete water system upgrades on West Elm Street, and that's going to be from house number 64 to 423, and that's including Old West Elm Street, and on Dwelly Street from the intersection of West Elm and Dwelly to 105 Dwelly Street. The Dwelly Street construction is scheduled to begin this Monday, September 29th, and continue into early December. Water upgrades on West Elm Street are expected to begin in spring of 2026 and continue through August. Paving for West Elm Street is scheduled for May 26. For Dwelly Street is scheduled for May 2026, and West Elm Street paving is scheduled for May 2027. Some meetings we have this week. Wednesday, October 1st is the Drug Prevention Coalition, the Select Board, and Recycling and Sustainability Committee. And Monday, October 6th, our planning board will be meeting. And just a reminder, boards and committees must post their meetings agendas 48 hours before their meetings. So check out the public meetings section of the town's website throughout the week for the latest information on public meetings.
Andrea, what is that website address?
Pembroke-ma.gov. And you're going to want to look on public meetings section of the website.
Terrific, thank you.
You're welcome. And Fall Town Meeting is scheduled for October 21st, and you must be registered by October 10th to vote on warrant articles. There will be one hazardous waste collection day held by South Shore Recycling Cooperative in Plymouth on October 25th. Pembroke residents can attend. They just must pre-register. Please see the main page of the website, of the town website, for more details. And Medicare open enrollment starts October 15th. If you need assistance adjusting your coverage, please contact our senior services at 781-294-8220 to schedule an appointment with a Shrine counselor. And a note from the Chief Assessor, Jeannie Gigliotti, real estate property tax exemption applications are currently available in the assessor's office. There are a number of eligible exemptions for property taxes. They can reduce the applicant's real estate bill by a certain amount. For additional information, please contact the assessor's office at 781-293-2393.
Terrific. Thanks a lot, Anne.
You're welcome, Fraser.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, so we're back. I hope you enjoyed the town news. Katrina, SEPAC.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
So it's the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, and it's a group that is required by the state for every town to have as a means of supporting parents and families who have a child with a disability in the public school system. And so basically they'll have events, they'll have opportunities to learn about different topics. There's also a parent rights and responsibilities training every year. And so that's usually something we do as well. And there's opportunities for parent support groups, so families can come in and talk with other parents who have kiddos with disabilities. There's also a board that oversees the group, and that's generally parents of kids with disabilities within the town. So there's sometimes board meetings as well, where we'll talk about, any feedback that we've been hearing about the special education programming and make plans to support parents and families as makes sense. So sometimes we'll do surveys as well to gather input.
So this is state mandated?
It is, yes. So it's something that every town is supposed to have, and so the Federation for Children with Special Needs provides support for towns to be able to either start or revitalize a SEPAC group, but every town should have one. Yeah.
And how long has Pembroke SEPAC been?
Great question. So, we split from Silver Lake 25 years ago or so, and I'm not sure at what point it started, but I believe it was started by Tracy Marino well over 10 or so years ago.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a son with needs. He aged out this year at 22. I'm trying to think when he got he had an IEP. And then the town it was a little bit hokey, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, but they moved all of the children with special needs that were in the elementary school. They moved them all to Hobart, away from where they had traditionally been. And the argument was that the rooms in North were needed for the administrative. But it was the SPED administration that moved to North, further away from their population, and they moved the population into one group and split them up from all of their brothers and sisters and family members. So it was the most bizarre move. That must have been, I can't remember how old Elliot was at the time.
I know, the program at Hobart is more, it's not necessarily substantially separate, but it's more restrictive in terms of when you're thinking about the least restrictive environment, which is, basically what you're saying, right? If you're pulling kids away from their peers, it's going to be what's considered more restrictive. And so you try to always have kids in the least restrictive, which would be with their peers, with supports and accommodations and modifications. Yeah. So having test accommodations, being able to have small group modifications might be changing the curriculum a little bit. And so it may be that they identified around that time that there were a lot of kids who needed more supports, and so they had to expand the options that they had for kind of the spectrum of inclusion, where some kids are going to be, my assumption is some kids stayed with their peers in their classroom, and then some peers were suggested, or, as an IEP team, they decided to send them to a more restrictive environment. Yeah. Because I know that program wasn't necessarily always there. I think it, similar to how we're talking, we've had conversations on school committee where we want to create another program eventually because of the needs that we're seeing from teachers and administrators around social and emotional needs. Mm-hmm. Every town has a different set of kids in front of them that have different needs. And so sometimes we have to send kids out of district if we don't have that support and we don't have a peer group that aligns with those needs, because we just don't have enough kids who have that set of needs. But what we're seeing now with the kiddos who have some social emotional needs and more behavioral is that there's a large enough group that it really warrants creating another program. Mm-hmm. And while it would be separate, there would be opportunities to include them as well. But it's similar to the program that's at Hobart in that it's a different setting. Yeah,
I feel I may have been a little unfair to you because it feels like you're justifying what happened to my son. When in truth, what I was it was leading up to, I didn't know about SEPAC then.
I see.
So I don't know if it started after we got our out of placement or what, but I know we definitely as parents felt that we were alone and we were fighting this journey. We were on a journey. So there were other parents that had similar situations. And so we would get together as a group and what are we going to do now? Yeah. But at the same time, we also felt that we had to fight for our son. Mm-hmm. But so I understand the social and emotional. I'm going to go off a little bit and ask you, because I think it's important for people that are listening to understand what FAPE stands for and what that's all about, because that's really the important factor in whether a child goes into an IEP or whether a child is goes to an out-of-district placement. So I do know what it stands for, but why don't you tell?
Yeah. So FAPE is a free and appropriate public education. And so that, I believe the law that put that into place was IDEA, which was around, it was maybe 1972, around that time. And so
Before we were born.
Yes. So that really dictates that, every child.
It's a federal thing.
Yes, it's a federal thing, yeah.
And it's every child deserves
a free and appropriate public education, exactly. Correct. So no one can say, oh, your child's needs are too, quote unquote, severe or, challenging that we can't handle them. That used to be the case prior to IDEA where, when you had a kid, there wasn't a guarantee that they would be able to go to school. And that wasn't that long ago, all things considered. And so yes, that it means that the school needs to find a way to meet your needs, and that regardless of what the budget is for that, they have to figure it out. And so sometimes it's going to cost a small amount of money to provide FAPE for a student, and sometimes it might cost a lot more, but that doesn't have any bearing on whether or not the school has to provide that service.
Good. Precisely. And I think that's very important for people to understand. There's also supports, plural, from Fed and state, so that the schools are, so it's not all out of the school's pocket. The burden is not on them. The burden is on the rule, the FAPE rule. And so therefore the funds, the resources should be made available.
Definitely. I will say that, with IDEA, it was written so that the cost would be covered, that it would be about 40% of the education budget for special education. And it's only ever been funded up to, I believe, 18% at the federal level. So it's actually never been funded to the level it was supposed to have been funded. And so there are costs that I think that districts and states pick up, but ultimately, there has to be some advocacy from folks all around the country to try to get more funding for IDEA. And there are groups that do that and continue to do that. But certainly the cost isn't totally recouped, but that doesn't change the fact that we have to provide those services for students. And it's not those families' fault, quote unquote. It's not those students' fault, right? It's more of a systemic issue that we haven't been able to get that funding secured as it was written.
Now, is that because there are more people with needs now than were planned for?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it's because the federal government actually never met the promise that they set out when they wrote the law. They've never gotten to that 40%.
Right. And is it 40%? 40% special needs? 40%?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Wow.
Almost positive. I can fact check myself.
I know there's all sorts of statements coming back and forth, especially now that the government has mentioned the cause or the potential cause of autism. But I heard someone, I can't actually remember who it was, but they struck me as being rather bright, saying that the severe autism cases haven't grown. It's the spectrum cases that have grown. And that's got more to do with awareness than people taking Tylenol.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I'm not going to come up with my own opinion on why that is because I'm not a doctor, right? But I think there is definitely more people aware of what it looks like. Also with women and girls, the testing for autism is primarily based on tests that were designed for men and boys. And so we're seeing a lot more women and girls get diagnosed because they weren't your typical person with autism, according to the testing. But as, there's been more knowledge gathered and more studies done, I think there's been a lot more awareness of seeing how it presents differently in girls and women.
Yeah. I think that's the case with the medical profession, full stop. Most tests for most conditions were based on males. And yeah,
I was listening to a podcast the other day just about that, and I was I was shocked, even though it's something I've heard before, but kind of listening to it in terms of how doctors have to handle it when they're looking at prescribing medicines and things like that. They kind of have to, it's a bit of guesswork.
Yeah. Well, they just don't understand women's bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come across a brick wall where you don't look like a man, you don't act like a man, but we'll treat you like a man. It's just ridiculous. But, I believe the profession, let's not knock the profession.
No.
But they are moving forward, but it is something that people have to be aware of. And I am aware, partly because I'm the son of one, I'm the brother of two, and I'm the husband of one. You have to advocate harder, which seems a little unfair, but there you go. Okay, so I didn't want to take this off on a weird tangent. Let's bring it back to SEPAC. So there is a board, but it doesn't report to the school.
So we don't necessarily report to the school, no. We do, so Jessica, the special education director, DiLorenzo.
Oh, DiLorenzo.
Yeah, no, you're good. She comes.
I think I have the maiden name there, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, you're good. So she will come and do presentations for families. So she'll do the rights and responsibilities training, and then also come and give reports on, kind of the state of the special education department, and touches base with us too to hear, have parents or families brought any concerns to you. So we're in contact. I'm the liaison because of school committee. So I'm on SEPAC, but I'm also the liaison for school committee. So we stay in contact.
Right. Let me just put a little bit. So you're on the SEPAC committee because you're the liaison from the school committee?
No. I did it separately. So
okay.
I joined the SEPAC because my daughter has a disability, and so I joined the SEPAC to be able to, be a part of that community. And also, I'm a former special education teacher and administrator, and so I felt like I had some knowledge to bring to the group, but also, wanted to learn from the community, having moved back at the start of 2022. So that's a separate role. I'm the communications person, so I do social media, create flyers, and things like that. And then the liaison for school committee, that role is really just to serve as a conduit for communication between the SEPAC board and the school or Jessica.
Mm-hmm. Very good. You did mention it, but I want to re-emphasize, what is the connection with the school committee? You're also you volunteered to be the liaison because you're already on it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like when we were figuring out who are the liaisons, I was, raised my hand. I'm like, I'm the communications person, so I'm happy to be the liaison for SEPAC.
Yeah. You have to be one of the hardest working people. Volunteers, along with me, you're one of the hardest working people in Pembroke.
Well, I'm trying.
And you have a child with a disability.
Yeah. She's a cutie. She just turned 4.
Yeah, but that means you're also one of the hardest working moms.
Yes. It definitely, and yeah, it's tough sometimes, but I like to stay busy.
Mm-hmm.
That's part. So I have ADHD, so I have to stay
Clearly.
busy too. Yeah, I know. As judged by the many tangents the conversation has gone to. No worries.
Oh, that would be me, not you.
So yeah, I think that's when I stay busy, it helps me stay more focused, I think, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And so you're also a member of the Chamber of Commerce, which is appropriate because so am I. And this is our podcast.
Yeah.
So what is it the Chamber of Commerce could be doing to support SEPAC?
Great question. I think, one thing could be we could do, maybe some sort of presentation about how to support customers with disabilities, or, if throwing events, like different things you could do for events to support families of kids with disabilities.
So I had a business in town. I still have a business in town, but I had a particular arm of that business. And I very quickly identified that, well, first of all, because my son has a disability, you tend to find that your friends and and what have you are all friends with people with disabilities. And so I discovered very, very quickly that the workforce was not, a lot of these kids after the age of 22 and they're out of the education system, they go out into the wide world, they get a job, and the jobs that they're offered tend to be less than they are capable of doing. That's the first thing. And secondly, the middle management that is given the responsibility aren't giving any training, and they're not given any
Tools.
Well, it's also the considerations. So they're told, this is your productivity target, and this is your workforce. Oh, by the way, 10% of your workforce may not understand what you're asking them to do. And then they get frustrated as middle management with the workforce that they've been given. And so they actually end up pushing, in some cases, they push that member of the workforce into even more menial jobs because they don't know what else to do with them. So you have these top management. I don't want to say any companies, but I do know the companies I'm referring to. But you have top management with this pseudo altruistic goal of supporting the community, no doubt also getting some funds from various other pots to support the community, but not training the middle management. So the actual community ends up in a little bit of a dead-end spot. So what I tried to do as a single business, and of course I was never going to change the world, but as a business, I exclusively employed young adults with autism. But what I also did is I made sure that the manager who was in charge of them had a background and had an understanding of what I expected from him. And it actually turned out that we ended up with slightly higher, well, it's actually considerably higher productivity figures than we were expecting because everything was harmonious. And it was amazing. It unfortunately came to an end 18 months ago or so because I changed the business and I could no longer do what I was doing. But there was a good 4 or 5 years where we had this great little community, and we did quirky little things as well. I kept finding them arguing about Marvel, of all things. One had a subscription to Disney Plus and therefore had his version of the Marvel universe, and then another only read Marvel comics.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was this, Nick Fury's not meant to be black, and so
Comic book disagreements, yes.
But very, very concrete thinking. It had nothing at all to do with anything other than concrete thinking.
Right.
And so, okay, guys, I'm going to give this whole group 15 minutes every Friday to sit down and discuss Marvel. And let's get it off our chest and let's get on with the work. And we did that. And that became the Marvel, and it kind of turned into a Marvel 40 minutes. But it was good fun, and I actually enjoyed it. I would sit down and talk to them all about Marvel, and then we'd talk about other things. What are you doing at the weekend? But I could predict every one of I think we ended up with 6 members of staff at one point. And this one here, they always sat in the same location as well. So I could point to, this fellow here was always going to be doing laundry. This one was always going to walk to the library. This one was always going to do basketball with his team. But it was enchanting. Anyway, this is your podcast, not mine.
No, but that's helpful to know. And I think brings a good, question to the table is, how businesses can support is really like that direct supervisor having the knowledge and the resources they need to know how to support people with disabilities so they can be successful. Because I think, to your point with the high productivity, folks with ADHD and autism sometimes can be far more productive than somebody who is, let's say, quote unquote, typical or not neurodivergent. So it just depends on the environment and the supports.
Sure. So it's understanding the different wiring and working to that different wiring.
Right.
And you get results. And I get so tired of people saying to me, so what's your son's special skill? What do you mean, what's my son's Well, you remember in Rain Man when he could count those matchsticks. You just want to slap some people. He doesn't have a special skill. He is brilliant at so many things. If you look at the bell curve, he's off the charts on certain things, and he's not on the charts at all on other things.
Right.
He is just different.
Yeah. And I think, having a different levels of abilities in different areas is kind of typical for people who are neurodivergent. But you don't necessarily need to be like a savant at something, or whatever some people think, right? Like,
yeah. Have you ever read the essay "Welcome to Holland"?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Mm-hmm. I mean, that really does tell the story.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to share that story with the listeners.
Well, so basically, I'll give you my Cliff Notes version because I haven't read it in a while. But it's talking about starting off. It's
a group
comparing. Yeah, it's comparing. Parenting.
I'm going to tell the story. You butt in.
Okay.
It's a huge family, an extended family, an extended family of friends, and they all arrange a summer holiday to Italy. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, it's about a vacation. Yeah.
It's a vacation, and you're on the plane, and your captain says, "Welcome to Holland," as you come into land. And you're like, excuse me, no, actually, we're supposed to be in Italy. Yeah, but you're not. You're in Holland. Okay, so when's the next flight from here to Italy? There isn't one. Okay, so what do we do now? You spend 2 weeks in Holland. Well, so you spend 2 weeks in Holland, and you discover Edam cheese, you discover Amsterdam, the windmill, you discover pot smoking before everybody else. You have a great time. Rembrandt, Van Gogh, clogs. You discover, yes, you discover everything about Holland and all of the great things that it has to offer. Cycling. But then...
Tulips,
exactly. You then go home, and everyone wants to talk to you about what a great time they had in Italy and how much you missed such a wonderful time in Italy. And all you can do is, yeah, but no, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, no, but. And nobody cares. And that's us. That's our life. We went to Holland. Yeah. It doesn't mean our life is less. It's just different.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's...
Did I get the story right?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything out?
No, basically it's just comparing parenting, of a child with a disability. It's not always how you think it's going to turn out, right? You don't know all the time when your child is born if they're going to have a disability. Sometimes people find out much later. Sometimes you find out right away. And I think if you imagine it to be terrible, you're not going to enjoy the beauty that it is as you go. And so it's about being open to the good that can come out of it, and just like any other parent, right? Yeah. And not feeling like it's some sort of, like a negative story that's going to come out of it.
Yeah, there is another book that my wife and I enjoyed reading, and it was Shut Up About Your Perfect Kid. And it's self-help, and it helped. So
perfect. Did his job.
Yeah, exactly. So bring it back to SEPAC.
Yeah.
So we're sharing our emotional side to this particular journey, but back to the supports and what SEPAC does. Mm-hmm. So it's not federally, it's state mandated. Are there any other states that have something similar?
Yeah, I believe so. That every state has a parent training center. So for the Massachusetts, it's the Federation for Children with Special Needs. Uh-huh. And so that's kind of the overseeing body or support system for SEPACs. I don't know. I think maybe I'm not sure what it is in different states, but I know at least in Massachusetts we do have SEPACs, but I feel like the other states probably do as well, but I just don't know if it's in our state standards or state laws or federal laws.
Right. I've lost my train of thought.
Well, we were talking about SEPAC and about parents.
You've got me talking. I've made the big mistake, the classic mistake. Don't talk about yourself. And now I've lost myself in there.
Well, I think where you were going, let me take a stab, is we were talking about parenting and, the supports that SEPAC can offer. And I think, when you're a young parent, and your child is going to school.
You can be an old parent.
True. Yeah,
Look at me.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Not trying to be ageist here at all. But you're a parent. You're new to parenting is mostly what I meant. And maybe you don't have a network of parents because you're new to parenting, right? It's hard to find people you can relate to if your child is different than other kids sometimes. And some people struggle more with that than others, right? And so I think having the SEPAC is an avenue for people to be able to find other folks who have kids, maybe have different needs, but they both have IEPs or they both have this commonality.
Can we explain to people what an IEP stands for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's an individualized education program. And so it's a written document that outlines services, supports, and goals to be able to meet the needs of your child and provide that free and appropriate public education.
Yeah.
And so it's it's supposed to span a year. And that in that year, you'll get IEP progress reports at the same rate that you get them from the school for typical report cards. And then the team meets annually to revise that IEP based on the progress that has been met for the goals.
And there's a program between an IEP and regular education, isn't there?
Yeah, so the Section 504. So there's a 504 plan, and so that is under a different law, Section 504, where it is you don't necessarily need services and goals, but you need accommodations to be able to meet, to be able to make progress in your academics.
And 504's covered in this. I mean, parents with children on a 504 can be part of SEPAC or...
Totally. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, there's a lot of overlap sometimes where, maybe your child starts off with a 504, they get an IEP later. Sometimes you might have an IEP and then get a 504 later. But yeah.
Right. There isn't something similar for the workforce, though, and that's something that I think the Chamber should work on. Because the IEP stops at 22. The 504 stops at 22. It seems like the whole world changes when you become 22 and you're capable of going in the big outside world and living on your own.
Definitely.
Which is not true.
Yeah, I think there's a huge drop-off of services that a lot of I've heard from families are basically just feels like, all the supports go away. And I think there's a lot we can do to educate parents and families about the services that are available between 18 and 22, because you can get there's the Department of Mental Health that can support a
DDS.
child. DDS, as well as, for individuals who are hard of hearing or deaf, there's that body, which I can't remember the name of right now. There's also one if you're low vision or blind. And so there's various organizations that can step in and help with some of that job training. But if you don't know about it, then you may not take advantage of it. And I would say anybody who may qualify for those services should take them because, otherwise after 22, you can't retroactively go back and get them.
I think there's another organization, Partners for Youth with Disabilities.
Oh, yeah.
PYD.
Yep, that's
Boston-based.
Yeah, I know that's a nonprofit that does some mentoring and things like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they also do some really good training. So I actually did the training program for them before I embarked on. It started with family and friends, but then when I went beyond that and I was not tapping in, but I was working with the LIFE program in Plymouth. Mm-hmm. But I felt that I needed to have better training. And so I think it was probably the first time in my life I actually bothered to do any training. But I was pushed into it by my wife. But no, I did the training and it was invaluable. I learned a lot.
That's awesome.
So I think we should, you and I, off air, discuss, because you are a member of the Chamber, and I believe the Chamber needs to have some kind of program for not just to support, but I think it's the employers in town that need the support. We need to encourage them to employ more of this community, but you can't just say, hey, you should employ more people that have disabilities. No, we need to put up some kind of a program, even if it's just informational. On our website, this is where to go. And
yeah, I'd love to.
I'm nominating you now.
Listen, I'm here for it. One of my other part-time jobs is Pathways to Friendship, which is part of the ARC of Massachusetts. And so with
You know what ARC stands for, don't you? The R in ARC is a word we don't use.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Just thought I'd share with that, you and the listeners.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's
My wife
funny.
and I want that name changed.
It's so funny. So I got an email today about like the branding for ARC, and it was, it's not an acronym. It stands for the ARC of Massachusetts. So I think they've
Yeah, it is an acronym, but they're
changed it to not
moving
be
away.
an acronym.
Good.
So, and showed us how to do the capital A, RC. We're not all capitalizing ARC. So I think it used to, but I think it's only a slight brand shift.
Yeah. Okay.
I know. I just happened to get the email about it today. So I was like, oh.
So you volunteer for the ARC?
No, that's a job. So so it's a part-time job to do basically inclusion. I'm the Southeast Inclusion facilitator. And so the purpose of Pathways to Friendship is to be able to create opportunities and areas where individuals with disabilities can form friendships. Because one of the biggest issues for individuals with disabilities is loneliness when they get older, because of isolation and not being, maybe they didn't find a
Parents
job that
died.
worked for them. Right. It could be that. And so I'm actually doing a training on Thursday, which is townwide. Anyone can come around just creating a more inclusive community. And so I'll be presenting with Jonathan Spiller, who's a self-advocate, on Thursday at the community center.
Plug that. So Thursday,
Yes.
the 2nd of October
Yes.
at
5:30 to 7:30.
at the community centre.
Yes.
Is it in the main hall or in one of the meeting rooms or?
I think it'll be on the first floor,
Okay.
but
Very good.
you can check in at the front desk.
And it's you and Jonathan Spielman.
Spiller.
Sorry.
All good.
Useless with names. So Katrina Delaney, Jonathan Spiller talking about
Creating a more inclusive community and how you can be part of making sure that all of individuals in your community, with and without disabilities, can have friendships and meaningful connection.
Right. Okay. And that's Thursday at the community centre.
Yes.
Terrific. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Is there any other messages you wanted to get out there, Katrina? Because we're actually we're a little over time, but
Oh, okay.
it doesn't matter.
I think
We'll cut all my garbage out to show.
Yeah, I think just, know that there are supports available to you and people who can help. I think voicing any concerns you have to your IEP team before it becomes a large thing is always better, right? I think the more communication is better rather than letting something sit if you feel uncomfortable with it. And from what I have found with the Pembroke school system has been great in terms of listening to my concerns. And I would just encourage you to do the same. And if you need any help, come to a SEPAC meeting. The Federation also has a helpline, and there's lots of resources out there. So just reach out when you need help.
I'm going to just underscore what you've said and say, you are the parent. You have to advocate. You have to fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to be spoon-fed this stuff. You have to fight for it. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I understand that you're there to support, but you can't go to the community and say, we want to help you with it. You're receiving people, and those people have to fight.
Yeah, I think you have to know what your vision is for your child and know what is working and what isn't, and be willing to be open and honest about that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Katrina, for being here.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed the conversation, partly because I know something about it.
Me as well.
But thank you, and thank you to the listeners for tuning in. This podcast will be available on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube with additional links on our Facebook page. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the Chamber, please go to the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce website, pembrokechamber.org. Katrina, again, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay.